Welcome everyone to this episode of Not Your Average Chalupa. Whoop whoop!
Oh yeah, episode número
That's
5.
right. We made it a full month of producing the Not Your Average Chalupa podcast.
That's a hand.
That's 5 fingers worth of episodes.
5 fingers to the face.
That's right. Yeah. So how would you say your week's been so far?
It's been good. I've had a productive week. It's been some ups and downs, definitely,
Mm-hmm.
but a bunch of good things, you know.
Yeah. That's how life goes. You have goods, you have bads, but
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good and rolling with the punches. Yeah. But let's see. Last week's episode we spoke about Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day and how people kind of like deal with it differently, relationships, and kind of just to go on the same topic, Valentine's Day. You're listening to this post Valentine's Day. I apologize. We have our executive producer over here biting my toe. Ow.
Yeah. Our executive producer's in his teenage years, so he's being a bit rebellious and rambunctious, and he's biting and scratching just because he wants attention. Come on top of the table so people can see you. Be a butt face.
Anyway, our Valentine's Day, we just kind of wanted to share a little bit about that and how our Valentine's Day wasn't the typical romantic thing that everybody makes it out to be.
Yeah, we didn't have the average Valentine's celebration, you know.
Because nothing's average about us.
Exactly, we're not so average chalupas.
Anyway, so don't get me wrong, like we love doing the cheesy romantic things.
Like, we can get the flowers, the bears, the chocolates, and
but you don't need a specific day to do that, you
Exactly.
know. Like I love getting flowers just cause.
the whole idea around Valentine's Day is to celebrate a person that you love. But why can't you do that, you know, at any time throughout the year?
It's such a commercialized holiday, though.
Yeah.
I will say. So we decided to kind of just stay at home. I made these burgers pre-Valentine's Day, like these amazing burgers.
So just to give you a summarization, more vegan. So we don't eat any meat, we don't eat any dairy.
Oh yeah, they did
Like
not
flexitarian,
know
they knew it from the previous episode, but just in case, like
Okay,
they, you know, we
okay.
can't assume they know.
that. Yeah.
But so we don't consume meat, we don't consume dairy. Very rarely we consume sugar. So we just made these burgers once, and this is all props to Ane.
I had the perfect burger in my mind, and obviously you can make this with meat if you wanted to. Just
Yeah.
substitute the burger patty.
Yeah.
So it goes like this. It goes buns toasted with butter, and then I made plantains,
Yeah.
plátano maduro. So sweet plantains, deep fry them so that they're nice and soft and squishy.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And I did some roasted corn, like you roast the corn kernels.
Mhm.
Yeah, you roast the corn. And then I did some guac. I like to add some garlic to my guac. I recently learned that.
Yeah. She's adding some spice to her life.
So guac, lemon, salt, cilantro in it. And then we do the quinoa, or we do quinoa patties. And then what else? Vegan caramelized onion,
Yeah.
which is
It's
amazing.
just like a whole bunch of stuff that you would add to a really good burger. Just swap out the dairy and swap out the meat. And we
Imagine,
use-
oh my god, sorry, baby. Imagine there was cheese in that burger.
that would be 10 out of 10.
So if you want to make this burger, just do some plátano, some guacamole,
Yes,
some
thinly
corn.
cut plátano maduro, some roasted corn, some caramelized onions, some avocado, some guacamole,
Yeah.
and then boom, you got a good burger.
So we had that burger and it was so good, and I was like, you know, we should eat this for Valentine's Day. David was so down with it. So lo and behold, we did. We kind of wanted to stay home, like I said. We woke up, slept in. You know, David gave me a beautiful gift. I gave him a gift.
Mhm.
We'll get to that in a bit. And David made me breakfast. And then
we made each other breakfast.
yeah, I did.
It's
like
kind of a shared
20%.
experience.
Anyway, so we had breakfast, and then we did some pottery painting at home. And yeah, then we just had the burgers and just watched
It
a
was a
bunch
good
of
day. It
movies.
was a
And
good day.
what matters is that we had each other's company, and you know, we watched romantic movies to make it romantic.
Mm-hmm. To
but-
fit theme of Valentine's
Oh, wait,
Day.
it wasn't even romantic.
It was a comedy movie. We watched a movie called Stray Dogs on. They have it on Prime, but it's voiced by Will Ferrell for the main character, and then the secondary character is voiced by Jamie Foxx. So very funny. You know, it was a good movie. I liked it.
It was great. I had a lot of fun. And back into our gifts, I had been working on this gift for David. I want to say for almost 2 months, but it was very on and off. I try to do it at the moments when I'm not with him, because
Yeah.
lately we've been spending a lot of time together, and there's not really a lot of time where David doesn't see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I've been working on it on and off, like doing it on the train, like, you know.
Just working on it in moments that she can.
Yeah. And David had also been working on something.
Yeah. So I was trying to make. Well, we'll insert images of our gifts here. But I was trying to make a crochet embroidery kind of combination idea, like just a little gift that I can give to her, where it just was on the theme of Valentine's Day, and I waited. I'd say I gave myself about 3 weeks to try to figure this out. Right, 3 weeks before Valentine's Day, and we weren't having a lot of time together. No, not time together, time apart. So we were spending all of our free time was mostly together. So I was like, when am I going to do this to make it a surprise? I want it to be a surprise. I cannot do anything to make this a surprise. Like, 'cause even if I wanted to step outside, it's so out of character for me just to randomly go outside. I'm a very homebody person. If I'm not outside for a particular reason, like it won't be my own choice to just leave the house and go for a walk.
I like to go out for walks because it's a nice day. Mm-hmm. You will never see David doing that unless I ask him to. Then he comes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so strange for me to be like, yeah, I'll be back. It's like, what is he leaving for? Not that she's questioning me and hovering over me, but it would just kind of take away from the potential element of surprise. And then when we're home, I want to spend time together because that's the only time we have together to begin with. So it gave me a tight constraint on when to make the surprise gift. So I was ended up just like, yo, listen, I need a little bit of time to make you a gift because I had no fucking time.
You see, but that's the thing, ladies, like for the ladies listening, it really is, if he wanted to, he would. Like communication is a big thing. Like, yes, we get roses and all these things and flowers. We do that just because. But you genuinely wanted to make something and you were like, hey man, I need to do this and I need my time. I'm giving you a heads up. It really is communication, because any bad partner would have said, oh, I can make it or whatever. Yeah. You know?
I put like 8 to 10 hours worth of fiber work into making that gift.
And so he knows how to crochet.
Mm-hmm. I crocheted a little square. As you saw in the picture, I embroidered a little patch. And I sewed it together. I stuffed it, made it into a little pillow. It's really cute.
So for our listeners, he made like this, I want to say 4" by 4" square, 4 to 5 inches square. And he did like this embroidery of this cute little tree, and he had like little flowers coming out of the tree. And he knows that I love Spanish. Obviously, speaking in Spanish, he wrote "te amo" instead of "I love you," which is "I love you" in Spanish. And it was just a beautiful way to combine my love for embroidery and crochet. So as a fiber artist, I definitely appreciated it. It's so much better than any other rose, I could have gotten. And it was such a beautiful gift. So I really appreciate that.
And then Ana's gift towards me, she was embroidering a patch for going on 2-3 months now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I had been working on this hoop that I made for him. It was around diameter width, I want to say like 6 inches, maybe?
About 6 inches, across. Yeah. So a circle 6 inches wide.
So that's what we did. And funny enough, it was both of us had the embroidery idea. Yeah. So that's what we did. And it wasn't like the typical Valentine's Day. But what matters is we had fun. It was a great week. It was Super Bowl weekend. Justin Bieber didn't come on.
That was such a big letdown, man.
Oh my God.
For the Super Bowl to be so because I'm not a big sports watcher. And honestly, I never watched Super Bowl halftime performances in the previous years. Ever. I never cared for it. But this year, Anya was very excited about it because there was speculation that Justin Bieber was going to be performing with Usher.
So, baby. Usher, along with Justin Timberlake and Scooter Braun, who is controversial. Anyway, so Usher with Justin Timberlake, they were the OGs with Justin Bieber. Yeah. They were there. They were like fighting, I want him. No, I want him. Mm-hmm. So Usher took a big part of Justin Bieber's career, up and coming. Yeah. And they had a bunch of hit songs together. And Usher said himself, he was like, I'm going to bring out important people of my career, my most important hits. And one of them is Somebody to Love by Justin Bieber and Usher. And Justin Bieber flew out, Hailey Bieber, his wife, they had the whole makeup team come out. They had the choreographers come out.
So their whole crew flew out to where the Super Bowl was taking place.
Like, how do you not expect us to not believe that Justin Bieber is going to be there?
Yeah. It was such a big speculation. Like, all the fans were ready for it.
Yeah, me and I was Justin's sister, David's sister, me and Marilyn were so excited about it. But we were so excited about Justin Bieber coming out, and he never did. It was a letdown, but nonetheless, it was a beautiful performance.
Either way, that Usher did his thing. He performed really well.
With Alicia Keys.
With Alicia Keys. You guys heard her voice crack, right? We're not the only ones that heard her voice crack. That shit was right off rip, her first note in, but... That's the pressure of a big show.
She's amazing.
Either way, she performed really great.
She performed it so well. She kept going.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that show, I felt like that show very much so had representation for Black people and minority communities, and it makes sense. It was Black History Month. It's February,
Woo, woo.
woo, but there definitely was that aspect of representation, and
It felt good.
it felt good to see that, you know, because growing up in the Bronx, that was the music we listened to. We listened to Usher, we listened to Alicia Keys, we
Because
listened
like
to that.
you were born here. I
Mhm.
came here when I was 7.
Yeah.
But even then, like I remember going to the park and I would listen
Mhm.
to like my boo playing
Yeah,
and
like
like
'90s R&B, like
so
the love in the music. Growing up during that era, like the early 2000s, the late
mhm.
'90s, it was beautiful. I knew all the songs.
I felt represented with the songs. I was like, oh, I'm not even from here, but this is hidden, you
Yeah,
know? I could only imagine how you felt.
I was singing every single song, and I I don't even listen to music like that often, and I still knew every single lyric, you know.
Hmm.
So it just felt good.
Yeah, it was great. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah. Speaking of representation, we have another little surprise that came about to me. So recently, we got a DNA test for me, and this was a
Well,
gift.
you gotta explain why there was a DNA test involved.
Oh yeah, it was to check my ancestry, not to check if I have any children. Like, but Anna gifted me a DNA test so I can connect with my heritage to figure out what I'm tied to. Right?
Do you have your phone?
Yes, I have my phone on me.
Okay.
But she gifted me this DNA test during Christmas time, and we submitted the results right away. And it took a month and a half to get the results back. And happens to line up in Black History Month. It turns out that I'm 31% Black. Whoop whoop. And this jokes aside, it is Black History Month, and it is cool to see that where my roots truly are. The reason that Anna wanted to give me this gift in the first place was because I don't really have any connections to my roots. Like, yes, I am Puerto Rican, but I never was instilled with the culture that is typically associated with being Puerto Rican. If anything, I was raised by minority groups, by Black families, by Hispanic families, but it was a melting pot of that culture. There was no direct ties.
Because here's the thing, we speak about patriotism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very patriotic
Yeah,
towards Ecuador. I love my food, my people, my language, the music. It's like, I love it. And also, aside from Ecuador, I am also so proud to be a Latina
Yeah.
and a person of, technically counts as a person of color. I'm not African American, but I'm also not white, you
Yeah.
know?
You were still a minority.
Exactly. Yeah. And I proudly am. I'm proudly a Latina. And I have so much pride in that. And I'm so patriotic when it comes to that. And David kind of, when we moved in, we
Yeah.
kind of saw, like, wait, I'm patriotic. You're not really patriotic, but not it's not really by choice. It's just because you never had.
Something to unify over with other people. Like, and I feel like that's a common struggle, especially in in North America itself or the United States, is this disconnect from your roots, from who you truly are. You just get plopped here, and your culture becomes the place that you're at.
Yeah.
So like the New York City culture, that's the culture I identify with. But if you were to tell me what's holidays of Puerto Rico, what's heritage of Puerto Rico, I know nothing.
Because you see, like, the Boricua parade, the
Mhm.
Puerto Rican parade, there's so much, and my love to the Boricua people, there's so much pride with being Boricua, with being from Puerto
Mhm.
Rico. And David kind of never felt that.
Yeah, I was never brought up with it, never taught about it. So that was the whole point of getting the ancestry test, just to figure out what my ties were. And it turns out that I'm more Black than I am Puerto Rican.
He's more Spaniard.
Yeah, I'm 30. I'm 30% Spaniard. We're gonna put up the picture of what we have here. So let me just read to you what we have going on.
Yeah, so in the meantime, while he does that, I just kind of, like, want to explain Christmas. Like, I wanted to do that for you and just kind of see,
Mhm.
so you can have an idea of where you're from. It's not
Yeah.
going to bring you patriotism or
Yeah,
anything.
but it was very important to you knowing where you're from, so you wanted to share that experience for me.
Exactly.
All right, so here we go. We have 30% Spaniard, 15% Indigenous Puerto Rican, 12% Portuguese. So technically, I'm 42% European in terms of that regard. I'm 9% Nigerian, 7% Ivory Coast Ghana, 6% Cameroon, Congo, and West Bantu people. 3% French.
Oui, oui, je veux le français.
I am 2% Senegal, 2% Benin, Togo, Nigerian, East Central, North African, Basque, Wales. So I'm Irish.
You gotta say the percentage.
These are all around 2 to 1%, so that way we can just lump them all together. Because that 30% is a combination of all these, but for the most part, I'm just Northern Central African. But it's cool. Wales, so I'm Irish. Mali is another part of Africa. Levant is a part of. It's one of the territories for Israel. And free Palestine, 100%. But it's technically,
A
I
little
have
louder.
Palestinian roots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Indigenous American Mexico, 1%. Indigenous Cuba. I'm 1% Jewish.
So he's Jewish.
I'm Jewish and Palestinian. I'm Levant. So I'm Jewish and I have ties to both.
You're controversial. That's what
Yeah.
you are.
I'm a split between the two. And then England, Northeastern Europe. But if you take all those and you add them together, you'll see that I'm 31% African, 15%.
He has some Mexican in him.
Yeah, I'm 1% Mexican. And it's just cool to see, you never know what part of your roots you're tied to. Like, I've been told I'm Puerto Rican my whole life, and I will still identify as Puerto Rican because that's my culture, that's my people. But just knowing that there's more to me than Puerto Rico.
I feel like the closest thing to your heritage was the food.
Yeah.
You grew up with a mother who cooks beautifully. Like your mother can
bust down the
the
Puerto
kitchen.
Rican food, yeah.
Yeah, you grew up telling me about pateles and how she would make like arroz con gandules and these beautiful foods. So you were like, oh, this is good. This is Puerto Rican food. So I feel like that was your closest.
That was my tie into Puerto Rican heritage.
Yeah. My closest tie to my heritage was, I feel like it was music and stories. Like my father always told me a bunch of these stories, like from the campo, the people of the campo. So, how do you feel knowing that you have this?
Knowing that I'm more than just Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I feel like Puerto Ricans in general, you are known to be a mix. Puerto Rican there was a big aspect of the slave trade involving our development as a people, because yes, we were Taino indigenous people. That was our tribe that inhabited the Puerto Rican islands. But then during the slave trade, they brought along Spaniards and they brought along African slaves, and it just became an integral part of our society. And that's just what we are. We are the mix of the three, and it just further proves the point that I am Puerto Rican. It doesn't make a difference. Me being Puerto Rican doesn't mean that I'm just indigenous, just Spaniard. This is who I am. I'm a mix of all three.
That's how you define yourself.
Yeah, because I've always said, no offense to any Puerto Ricans out there, but I've said Puerto Ricans are mutts. We're the mix. We're the culture that no one knows how to strictly define because we look so different. Like I've rarely seen another Puerto Rican look like me.
Yeah, but I love the Puerto Rican people. Like overall, like it's just a lot of energy. This high energy. The way that you talk. Some may speak a little too fast. Like Dominicans or Puerto Ricans have this tendency of speaking too fast.
There's particular dialects based on region.
Exactly, but the fact that it's a very love-driven language to me.
Yeah, very passionate, very energetic, very like embracing.
And I love that. I love that about your culture, and it shows in the music as well. Like Mark Anthony. I don't know if Mark Anthony's Puerto Rican or Dominican.
Here, we can look it up.
Yeah. But I feel like Mark Anthony is definitely big in the Latino community overall. So everybody knows him. It's like Mark Anthony, Elvis Crespo. Who else? All the bachateros,
He's Puerto Rican, yeah. Mark Anthony.
You see, so that's why he's always at the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Yeah. We love that. So I'm very, very happy that you get to have that.
It kind of like, it just it gave me a confirmed perspective on the fact that I'm a mix of everything. And it's just cool to see that, where my people are from.
How do you feel knowing that you have some Mexican in you?
I'm 1% Mexican. I've been so involved in the Mexican culture growing up. A majority of my friends are Mexican. I've been into quinceañeras for Mexican families.
He's been a chambelán.
I've been a chambelán multiple times, yeah. And just the food, the people, the culture. I'm not even understanding the words, but I'm sitting there, right there with the family.
He knows most of the Mexican OG songs.
Yeah.
Like, he'll sing every single word to certain songs, not have a clue on what's going on.
But I could sing it, no problem.
How would you describe Mexican culture?
Mexican culture is very warm, embracing, and just family-oriented.
Yeah.
Like, it's very much like, we take you in, that's it, you're ours,
In a nice way.
In a nice way, yeah. And the food is amazing. The parties are so much fun. It's just a very lively culture.
Would you say that Mexican culture is a part of who you are?
Yeah.
How?
So me growing up without a specific culture to identify by,
Mm.
allowed me to take in so many different experiences in life and make that who I am.
Mm.
So I grew up with Mexican friends, going to Mexican parties, doing these things. So part of me identifies with the Mexican culture. And some of the buildings that I grew up in, I had a Trinidadian landlord, and I would go over to her house and she's playing the music and she would babysit me and just like cooking the food, like curry chicken feet, like just so much good things that I was introduced to from different cultures that
Yeah.
made it, I'm the melting pot.
You're
I'm
a
also
melting pot of cultures.
exactly.
Isn't that
Yeah,
beautiful?
I learned to love spicy food because of IE.
Really?
That she was one of the first people to introduce me to that level of spice. Like Trinidadians will know, they could fucking they'll spice that shit up. Like putting whole Jamaican peppers into the dish. Just I've never experienced that level of heat in food, but the flavor was just amazing, and that's what made me fall in love with the food,
Mm-hmm.
with the spices. The way I cook now, I even incorporate some of the spices from that into my food.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I grew up with there was a family that me and my mom became really close friends with from the shelter when we were younger, and when we got our first apartment, they also were put into the same building. It was an affordable housing unit.
Oh wow.
So we got from the shelter to the first housing. We were just connected, and it was Belinda was her name, and Belinda used to watch me when my mom would go to work. Belinda also had a bunch of kids, and she was a black woman. It was me. I was the only light-skinned Puerto Rican in a household of like 5 black children, and we were playing the games, listening to the music, like just being embracing that culture, the food, everything. It was became part of who I am.
I feel the same way. Like I also grew up in Queens, and Queens is a bigger melting pot.
Yeah, very diverse.
So my father and I often jumped back from the Bronx to Queens.
Mhm.
So I was raised in the Bronx for elementary school. I had a bunch of Mexican babysitters. So I feel like the Mexican culture also has a big impact on my life.
Yeah.
It's even impacted on the way we celebrate holidays. Now we have 2 holidays that are Mexican that we celebrate. We have El Día de los Muertos, but we also have El Día de los Tres Reyes Magos.
Yeah.
And we've taken that into our home. So elementary school, I feel like was the same for me. I, just had a lot of Mexican culture come into my life. Middle school, I would say when I had more Indian, Bengali culture come into my life, because middle school, I was so blessed to meet Rima, Priya, and Nima, and Interfreak. And we were all super, super close. And like, I think I spoke about this in our last episode. About how Rima used to cook and her mother used to have us over. And I'm not gonna lie, going into Queens, I never really liked Indian food like that, because I had very bland taste buds.
Yeah.
So when my friends brought me into their home and, gave me this food and made me try it, it's just a blend of cultures mixing.
It opened up your mind to what's possible.
Exactly. And they got to try my food too. Like sometimes I would cook or just bring them things from my country, or like little snacks.
Yeah.
So never in Ecuador would you see an Indian girl with an Ecuadorian girl sharing foods.
Yeah. 100%.
New York is a beautiful melting pot, and that's different boroughs have different things. So Queens for me was kind of learning that. I also learned a lot about the Colombian community, about the pan de bono, the chocolate, and all these things. And like coming back into the Bronx for high school, I had these roots already instilled within me.
Like imagine just the fact that you're able to have a friend group where you have Salvadorians, you'll have Ecuadorians, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, African people, Guyanese, Bangladesh, Indian. It's just you have literally so many different cultures, and their families embrace you. You get invited over for dinner, you get invited over to celebrations, you're trying all these different cultures, all these different foods.
All these holidays, like I've been blessed enough to celebrate Diwali. Like I babysat for an Indian family, and they did Diwali, and it was just these beautiful things, cultures and traditions that we never knew existed, and for us to be allowed in, it's truly such a pleasure. And
it really does impact you.
Yeah.
And the way you perceive the world.
Yes, it really is about perspectives, because I always talk about how life is different through everybody's eyes, so when you see it from our perspective, this is kind of like what the show's about. But when you see it from somebody else's perspective, I think it's beautiful. It gives you a different insight. Like
one culture I want to take a dive into, I don't really know modern Japanese culture. Who knows, maybe we'll take a step into it. Irish holidays, like for example Wales. Now I'm curious, like what part of me is Irish? What can I gain from that aspect of my community?
Oh my god, can we celebrate, what is it? What's the March holiday?
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
My sister's Irish. She Irish, half Irish.
Really?
Hmm.
Now we just have to get drunk on a lot of beer.
But I want to know what the root of that holiday is, because we can drink and celebrate, you know. But what's the point of the holiday?
But I think it's beautiful, you know.
Hmm.
I also am curious as to like, so I bought this for David as a surprise. He didn't know, so obviously we only got him DNA
Yeah.
tested. I kind of want to get DNA
Hmm.
tested too because seeing the reaction that David had, we found pictures of the
Yeah, we have like
1950s.
1850s relatives of mine, all they're rooting back from Puerto Rico.
He
It's
has
showing
pictures of like
who I'm related to.
a great 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 great
Hmm.
super 10 times great grandpa or uncle.
It gives like the different locations where my relatives were born, where they were like where they themselves lived. Like I have people that lived in Ponce, people that lived in like just a whole bunch of different areas of Puerto Rico,
Mm.
and it just shows like I'm mostly southeastern Puerto Rican.
Yes.
That's where most of my family resided from.
And you can literally go, you can zoom in on the map. I got the all exclusive premium access to literally
Oh yeah,
every
oh yeah.
single thing because I wanted to get in the nitty gritty of it. And you can see the exact street. Like, oh, your family lived like on this street.
Yeah,
And then we took that. I'm very good with maps. So we took that and we went into Google Maps and we literally were
we were
exploring.
exploring the neighborhood that my family was from.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Like, thank you, technology. You have your ups and your downs, but this is definitely an
Mhm.
up.
Yeah, and
Isn't
I
that
have
beautiful?
so many cousins. I have hundreds and hundreds of cousins.
It's like never ending scrolling.
Yes, like it will show you your first cousins, of course, and I had a couple first cousins that some of them I knew, some of them I didn't. A couple second cousins, third cousins, but when it got to the fourth cousin region, hundreds of people. Like it was just insane the amount of family that I potentially can connect with.
I got an eyelash.
Oh yeah,
I make a wish.
we do this thing whenever we have an eyelash fallout. We put it on one of our thumbs, press it together. You make a wish, blow on the thumb, and whoever pulls back, whatever finger the eyelash sticks on, that's the wish that comes true. So maybe you can try that tradition or
Let me
superstition one day.
let me blow. Wait, come here. They need to hear the blow. Okay. We're tugging. We're fighting.
Okay,
Ready?
What's my wish? What's my wish?
You have your wish.
Mhm.
Okay. Pull. It
You had
fell.
It fell went off of you though. I saw it.
I don't know if any of I feel like some Latinos. I know this is an Ecuadorian thing, but I feel like others do it. Everybody does it differently. Like you blow on it 3 times,
Mhm.
and then I don't know. You let go. So it's like you see like little things like this, like little creencias pequeñas, like
Yeah.
I
Little
for-
superstitions, little traditions that you do.
Yeah. Sorry, we got sidetracked. I
It's
don't
okay.
know. You were talking about
DNA ties back.
yeah.
The fact that you can literally search up where I'm from, my cousins, and everything.
Isn't it insane? I don't know, cause here's the thing: you grow up with family around you.
Hmm. My family was very distant. Like I would say, I had a lot of cousins and relatives, but for the most part, especially in the United States, it's very solitary and isolatory in terms of the culture around taking care of your children because everyone has to work 8 to 10 hours a day, if not more. Like there's school involved. You're always busy. There's not a lot of time to be family oriented, and that's one of the things that I became accustomed to growing up. It was just
Mhm.
I have cousins, cool. I love my cousins. I'll see them occasionally, but for the most part, it was just me and my sister.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of like your culture, how you were raised up. But if we look at down the block and our Mexican friends, they made it work.
Yeah, they always saw each other.
They always like, oh, we have to cook food. Okay, we'll go over to your tia's house and we'll cook. There's homework to do. The cousins can help each other with the homework.
Exactly.
And I love how together they were. Like they were very family oriented, and it's something I
Aspire
love
to
and
emulate.
I love and appreciate about the Mexican culture.
Mhm.
Now, I talk a lot about Mexican culture, not to fish for it or anything, but because that's one of the biggest cultures that I know, and it's influenced my family.
Yeah.
Like me and my father growing up, like I've said, I grew up with a single father, so we never really had nobody else.
Their roots here started with them, so
Yeah,
there wasn't a lot of ties.
like
to
I'm not
people.
gonna lie, like I have family here from my mother's side, and I see them every once in a while, but we're never super close.
Yeah.
You know, like they're around, I'll text them, they know I love them, but we're never really around like that. Like I've never made my efforts, they haven't really made much of an effort either. We just kind of know we're there,
Mhm.
and we hope we're okay.
And that leads into the whole hustle culture of the United States. It's just keep grinding, keep doing your thing. There's not really time for family. You need to hustle to make ends meet.
And that's what we kind of realized on our recent trip to Ecuador.
Yeah, how different the lifestyle is, and you'll see this anywhere outside of the U.S. How slow paced and people oriented things are. Like I feel like in the U.S. we are
Hustle culture is glorified.
Yes, hustle culture is glorified. We are honestly just cogs in the machine. We are just a part of a system that is meant to profit and only profit at the detriment of its people.
Yeah.
You know, we went to Ecuador and it was a completely different story.
Like everybody still hustle. Like don't get me wrong. Like for example, my tia is a perfect example. My tia owns a restaurant. She has a son. She sends him to school. She does the restaurant. Her and her man
She does
run
it
it.
6 days a week, morning to night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they still make it work. They have their little car, you know, they go around, they try to have family over. And then we also have like this other family that and they're like my family, Roman and Ruth.
Yeah.
Like I love them very much, and they do tourism, so it definitely gives them a little more of a flexible schedule.
Yeah.
But still, they have 3 kids who go to school.
I feel like it's easier to establish a life. And, you know, regardless of financial position, you can enjoy said life, right? You're not put up by a wall of money to have a happy life. In the U.S., you need to have a happy life because at the end of the day, poor or rich, if you're in another country, you can still make it happen. You can grow your own food. You can raise your own chickens. You can go out, walk down the street and find a fruit tree, or you know, you'll be able to barter with someone at the market to make it so you can feed your family. If you're not working in the U.S., you will not survive.
So let me share this analogy that I recently saw on TikTok. We all love the talk of the tick.
The talk of the tick, yep.
So I saw, it's something about, and I'm not 100%. Oh, like I'm not saying it verbatim, but this is what I heard
Paraphrasing.
from a guy that heard it from a guy that heard it from a guy. So
Yeah.
here's my point of the story. So he talks about, I think I sent it to you, I'm not sure. He talks about the Mexican fishing man, the Mexican fisherman.
I've seen that, yeah.
So I love this story. And the story of this basically goes, there's this man, Mexican man, who loved to fish, and he would only get enough to feed him and his wife and his kid. I don't know if he had multiple kids, but let's say one kid. And he goes, and one day he's fishing, and a gringo, or a white American, North American man, bumps into him, and he's like, oh, you're a good fisher. You know, you should consider fishing more. Why don't you fish more? You're fast. Mexican man goes, no. This is all I need, you know. I just want to spend time with my family, and why spend time fishing a lot when I can just go spend time with my family? So the whole reason this man wanted to fish was to feed his family, but he also didn't want to do it too much because he didn't want to take away from the beauty of his family, right? So gringo man is over here like, fish more, and Mexican man is like, why would I do that? So it's like this back and forth, and the gringo goes, well, if you fish more, you can eventually start hiring people to do that for you. And then when you hire people, you can become a company. And once you become a company, you establish workers for you and all these things, and you get a brand. And meanwhile, this other man is just kind of looking at him like, why are you doing all these things? And he asks him, what's the purpose of this? And the purpose that gringo man tells him is so you can stay home with your family and not have to worry about anything.
It's kind of contradictory because you're telling this, the gringo's telling the Mexican man that for you to spend time with your family, you need to hustle, and sacrifice time with your family to make it so you can do that in the future.
But meanwhile, this man right here is fishing every morning for like 30 minutes and then goes home to his family and gets to chill.
He already gets to spend that time with his family.
He already has that as is.
And he's happy.
Exactly. And there's nothing else that he wants. Meanwhile, American culture, North American culture is hustle. So one day you can relax.
It's pushing yourself to grow beyond your means. Like, you're never satisfied with what you currently have. The Mexican man, he understood what he had. He has a beautiful family that he loves and adores. He has food on his table. What else does he need?
Exactly. We'll definitely look into it a little more, but just kind of wanted to share that because it really ties into our topic for today, you know? And we kind of want to go into that slower lifestyle, that slower pace.
In all honesty, we're ready to leave the U.S. And I know that's not a trend just amongst ourselves. There are so many people ready to leave the U.S.
I had spoken to a guy that I bumped into in Brooklyn, Daniel. I remember. You remember I spoke about him? Daniel, if you're listening, hola.
Hola.
Daniel was... Yeah, Daniel was kind of just sharing with me. He was un mochilero, a backpacker. And he was just sharing to me how he was here for like a couple of days and it was rainy and he didn't get to do all the touristy things that he wanted. And he was... we were comparing and contrasting our lifestyles here and our lifestyles there, and he was like,
where's he from?
He's from Spain.
Nice.
You know, in Spain, like, you get these 4 months thing. Okay, so any Spanish people listening, please correct me or comment below.